Welcome back to Peak Health Revolution. My name is Logan Grundy, and today I'm going to be taking you through a 3-step protocol to help release tight lats. We'll also go over who might have tight lats, what are the symptoms that we will see with that. So we'll start there, and then we'll get into 3 exercises. We're going to be using a foam roller, and then we're going to need a really heavy band and a moderate band. Depending on how strong you are, you might want to go a little bit lighter than this. But we will need a couple of bands and the foam roller there. So we'll get started into that after we go over who's going to benefit the most from this. So a lot of us have really tight lats, and a big part of that is that a lot of us are sitting at a desk all day, which causes our shoulders to round forward, and the lats are going to add into that. So a couple of really good ways to know if your lats are part of what's causing potentially shoulder pain for you. You're going to see it a lot there, is if you have trouble getting your hand into an overhead position, or when you're pressing you're getting shoulder pain, that's a good indication. Another really easy way to kind of check this is to just grab a bar and just hang from it. And if you feel a lot of tension through your lats and even pulling into your lower back, it's a good indication that your lats are tight, and this 3-step protocol is going to be magic to get you out of that tight lat situation and really free things up so you have less shoulder pain. So the first thing that we're going to do is grab a foam roller. We want to do this in a very strategic way. I see a lot of people rolling over their lats way too quickly and not paying attention to what work they're trying to get done. So what we want to do is either start right at the bottom of the lat or right up in the armpit here. And instead of rolling back and forth on it really quickly like this, my preference is to have you start up in the top right at that armpit and then actually roll your body on it and get different angles, different tissues of that lat. So we're going to do this all in real time so you guys can just follow along. So grab your foam roller and we're going to go right through this. And then what you do is you just inch down a little bit by little bit. So you're just going to roll back and forth, and you're going to find a little area that feels a little stickier, or you feel some discomfort in there, and then just sit into that and kind of roll back and forth through that and try and break up that area versus that very fast rolling that we often see. So for me, when I get really far back here, that's when I can start to notice it the most. So I'm going to just sit into that, work through that, and then once that feels a little bit better, you just continually keep coming down that lat, and you're covering off a lot of territory here. So don't feel like if you get into other muscles that that's a problem. Just cover off that whole area and try and find those stickiest points and settle into those. If you need to sit on one for 30 seconds or more, that's fine. What you should find is those tough areas where it feels extra tight, like there's bands within that lat that you feel like it kind of snaps over. You want to work on those, or if there's specific points, just sit into it until you feel that discomfort or that pain dissipating a little bit, and that's what we're looking for out of this. So this is kind of like our first step that's going to loosen off that lat, take some of that tension and melt it away so that we can start to get a little bit more range out of it. And then we'll get into the next one where we're using that heavy band that's really going to get the length that we're looking for back into the lat. So you want to spend about 1 to 2 minutes on each side here. Some of us have just like a specific side that is more of an issue, and you can spend more time on that side, but you should do both sides pretty regularly. If you feel pretty well balanced, do both sides. If you have one side that's obviously worse than the other, then spend more time on that side. Like for me, I had a history of a left shoulder injury, so this lat tends to get quite a bit tighter than the other side. So I'll spend a lot more time on this side and then kind of just quickly do the other side. Or if I'm doing this 3 times a week, I'll do the other side once a week kind of thing. So right here, quite low in my lat, I've found a really good spot, which is why you want to kind of explore the whole thing little bit by little bit. So that very last bit, now I'm kind of just on my ribs. So we've done the foam rolling. Now what we want to do is a banded stretch, and the reason why we want to do that as opposed to other variations of stretching it is that this band is actually going to continue to pull on that lat tissue, and if I just normally stretch it, there's not really a fatiguing factor to it, where this is going to continue to pull on that lat the band can give me resistance forever, whereas my lat is eventually going to fatigue and want to open up a little bit more. So I'm just gonna grab my hand, put it through the loop, get a grab on this band, and then all we're doing is putting tension into it, get into a good position where we get a nice straight line from the band coming down the arm and into the lat, and then hanging out in this. So get comfortable here. Make sure you have a good grip on the band itself. And now that band is pulling away this way, and I'm trying to pull back this way using my body, just leaning back into this. And now it just becomes a matter of time, and the band's always going to win. So right now my lat's still trying to hold a bit of that tension, a bit of that shorter position. And over time here, that lat's going to just fatigue and have to let go of that. And you're going to see that my arm's able to open up a little bit more and get length to it. So you just sit into this for 1 to 2 minutes. What I like to do is start playing around with it. Can I rotate this way or this way and find a spot where I get a better stretch out of it? I can even kind of think about from here dropping my shoulder down just a bit and seeing where you get that best stretch. So for me right now, when I start rotating this way, I really feel it in this like lowest portion of my lat. When I rotate this other way, I get it high in my lat, up by the shoulder kind of. So benefits to both, obviously. You just play around with it and see where you get the most stretch for you. So we're going to hang out in this a little bit longer. You want to be somewhere 2 to 3 minute marker, just so that it has enough time to actually fully let go. And the more tension you can get onto there, the better. It's going to pull that shoulder out a little bit more and fatigue the lat so that it'll eventually let go for you. This is one of those things where sometimes you just got to be patient with things instead of trying to rush through this stuff if you really want to get a good effect out of it. So once we finish that off, what we want to do now is help that lat kind of integrate into it and pump a bunch of blood into it. So what we want to do is take a little bit lighter band now. We're going to put it up there. And essentially, you're just going to do some kind of pull downs where you're just going to start here in a nice stretch position. We want to get lots of stretch into it. That's maybe a better position for you guys, so that I'm really, this is a stretch at this point, and then I'm going to bring it all the way down and all the way back up and start this. I'm fully contracted, bringing it to a short position, long position, getting a stretch in it, and then short, long, and that's going to pump a lot of blood back into that lat that I've just really stretched out, but also remind it, hey, you can go all the way from this short contracted position all the way up into this where the band's kind of pulling on me a little bit into the longest position, and just remind the lat truly how much range of motion it has available to it. And then you can see I'm just going to start pumping this, get a whole bunch of reps out, maybe shoot for somewhere 30 to 50 reps, start feeling it in your lats there, and get that stretch at the top, contraction at the bottom, and giving that lat a ton of room to work with and pumping a lot of blood into that lat. And doing that sequence 2 to 3 times a week is really going to open up your lat and get rid of those shoulder issues that you're dealing with, whether that's getting overhead without pain or just day to day you're finding that shoulder's really pulled in and rolled forward. This is going to start to help a lot with that. So give that a try and let me know how it goes down in the comments.